Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The afternoon sun shimmered across the rippling blue of the pool as I stepped out, water streaming down my skin in silver trails. The air was warm, but the breeze raised tiny goosebumps on my arms. I grabbed the towel from the chair, squeezing it tightly before I felt it, that presence. He was standing there, watching me with that quiet smile that always said more than words ever could. My husband. His gaze followed every droplet that rolled down my shoulder, slow and deliberate, as if time itself had stopped to join him. "Let me dry you," he said, his voice low and teasing, but there was something else in it, something that made my heart skip. I hesitated, caught between laughter and breathlessness. His hand reached for the towel, brushing against my fingers, and for a moment neither of us moved. The fabric slipped from my grip, and our eyes locked. The sound of the pool faded. All I could hear was the rhythm of my heartbeat, loud and unsteady. He took a step closer, his chest almost touching mine, the scent of chlorine mixing with his cologne warm, familiar, intoxicating. A single droplet slid down my neck, and before I could react, he traced it with the edge of the towel, slow and careful, his touch sending a shiver through me. "Cold?" he asked softly, his breath near my ear. I tried to answer, but my voice failed me. There was something playful in his eyes, but also an unspoken understanding, the kind that only comes from years of loving and learning each other. The towel lingered on my shoulder, his hand steady, his gaze unflinching. The world narrowed to that one moment, charged with warmth and quiet tension, where every second felt heavier than the last. I could feel the question hanging in the air, what happens next? But before it could unfold, he smiled that knowing smile and whispered, "Don't move." And then, fade to black. The towel still lingered between us, his fingers brushing mine as if neither of us wanted to break the spell. But behind that closeness, something unspoken hummed, a distance that had grown quietly over the years, invisible yet heavy. We had been together for 7 years, but lately, the laughter between us had started to fade into polite smiles, and the long talks had become quick exchanges between work and sleep. Still, in moments like this, the sunlight, the water, his steady eyes, I remembered how it used to feel. He used to look at me like I was his world. Maybe he still did, but now there was something else behind his gaze, guilt, or longing, or perhaps a question he was too afraid to ask. I wrapped the towel tighter around myself and turned toward the pool, watching the ripples scatter under the fading sun. "You've been distant lately," I said, my voice low, almost carried away by the breeze. He didn't answer at first. His reflection shimmered beside mine on the water's surface. "Maybe we both have," he said finally, stepping closer. I could hear the honesty in his tone, not defensive, not cold, just tired. The kind of tired that comes from trying too hard for too long. I glanced at him, the memory of last summer flashing through my mind, the fights that ended in silence, the dinners eaten across the table like strangers, the way his hand would almost reach for mine and then stop halfway. But there were good memories too, late-night drives, his quiet laughter, the way he used to dance with me in the kitchen when no one was watching. He reached out and tucked a wet strand of hair behind my ear. The touch was gentle, careful, as if he wasn't sure if he still had the right. My heart raced again, the same way it did the first time he kissed me, only now it was mixed with fear. Fear that maybe this tenderness was our last try. "I don't want to lose this," he said softly. His voice cracked a little, and for the first time in months, I saw the man I fell in love with, vulnerable, unguarded, real. I smiled faintly, though my chest ached. "Then stop standing so far away," I whispered. The silence that followed wasn't awkward this time. It was full of everything we hadn't said, everything we still felt but didn't know how to fix. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of rain, and for a second, it felt like a promise that maybe love wasn't gone, just buried under the noise of life. He took a slow step closer, the space between us disappearing. I could feel his warmth again, his breath brushing against my cheek, his hand hovering near mine, almost touching, but not yet. And just when it felt like the air itself might break from the tension, he whispered, "Do you still love me?" Fade out. The evening air grew heavier, thick with tension that neither of us dared to name. The sun had nearly dipped below the horizon, painting the pool in streaks of orange and violet. I could still feel the echo of his question, "Do you still love me?" lingering between us like electricity. I wanted to answer, but the words tangled in my throat. Before I could speak, my phone buzzed on the nearby chair. I reached for it, but he was quicker. He glanced at the screen, a name flashed across it. A friend from work. A man. His jaw tightened ever so slightly. "Late messages now?" he asked, half smiling, but his tone carried a sharp edge. I took the phone from him gently, trying to mask the flicker of guilt that wasn't even real. "It's nothing," I said, but my voice betrayed me, a crack, a hesitation. His eyes narrowed, not with anger, but with something deeper, fear. The kind that comes when love feels like it's slipping through your fingers. He stepped closer, his voice low. "I remember when I used to make you smile like that." His breath brushed my cheek again, and I froze. The pool lights flickered on, casting soft blue ripples across our faces. The air between us pulsed with warmth and confusion, love, jealousy, desire, all fighting to be felt at once. I started, but he cut me off, his hand finding mine. "Don't say it," he murmured. His eyes searched mine with a desperate kind of honesty, the kind that hurts to look at. The tension was unbearable, not because of anger, but because every unspoken emotion was spilling out at once. His fingers grazed my wrist, just enough to send a shiver through me. "You don't need someone else to make you feel wanted," he said softly. The words hit harder than I expected. I met his gaze, my heartbeat uneven. And what if I just need to feel something again? That silence, heavy, charged, fragile, said everything. He took a slow step closer, and I could feel the warmth radiating off him. For a heartbeat, the world felt tilted, like one wrong move could change everything. And then, just as his hand lifted toward my face, a sound from the house. A door creaking open. We both froze. The sound of the creaking door faded as quickly as it came, leaving only silence, and the two of us, standing by the shimmering pool, caught between what was real and what was about to happen. The house lights inside had gone dark again, the faint hum of the evening wrapping around us like a secret. He exhaled slowly, his shoulders tense, his eyes still locked on mine. For a moment, I thought he might step back, pull away, say something that would make everything safe again. But he didn't. Instead, he moved closer, just enough for me to feel his warmth. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. The towel slipped slightly from my shoulder, and he reached up, his hand brushing against my skin as he fixed it. It was a small gesture, but his fingers lingered, hesitant yet deliberate. The space between us disappeared again, the air thick with words neither of us dared to say. "I don't know how we got here," I whispered, my voice barely a breath. "Maybe we never really left," he replied, his tone low, almost trembling. There was longing in his eyes, the kind that came from remembering everything we used to be. The pool lights flickered, their reflections dancing across his face. I could see the conflict in him, the pull of love and regret, the ache of wanting to fix something that had already cracked. He took a step closer, the faint scent of his cologne surrounding me again, and for a second, I forgot to breathe. His hand brushed against mine, then stilled. Neither of us spoke. The world felt suspended, time stretching thin. I could feel his heartbeat in the air, fast, uneven, mirroring my own. "If we cross this line," I began, but the words trailed off. He tilted his head slightly, his voice almost a whisper. "Maybe that's the only way to find our way back." My lips parted, unsure whether to answer or escape. The sound of water lapping against the pool's edge filled the silence. The distance between us was no more than a breath now. The glow from the lights painted everything in gold and blue, a moment so still it felt unreal. And just as his hand lifted, slow, trembling, certain, the phone rang again. This time, neither of us moved to answer. The phone kept ringing, sharp, insistent, breaking through the fragile silence between us. I didn't move. Neither did he. The screen glowed faintly beside the pool chair, casting a thin light over the wet tiles. His eyes flicked toward it, then back to me. There was a question there, unspoken but heavy. Who keeps calling? My throat went dry. It's just a work call, I whispered, though even I didn't believe the way it sounded. He took a slow breath, his jaw tightening. Work, at this hour? His tone wasn't angry, it was wounded, uncertain, full of something that felt like betrayal before truth even had a chance to appear. The towel slipped again as I turned away, pretending to check the phone, pretending to stay calm. It's not what you think, I said quietly. But when I glanced at the screen, my heart stumbled. It wasn't my coworker. It was his name, the one I hadn't seen in months. Someone from before us. Someone I thought I'd left in the past. He saw my face change. Who is it? He asked, his voice low and trembling. I didn't answer fast enough. The air between us grew cold. You've been talking to him again, haven't you? I swallowed hard. It's not like that, I said, but the words felt hollow. He just wanted to remind you what you're missing? His voice broke halfway through. He turned away for a second, running his hand through his hair, the pool light glinting off his wet skin. When he looked back, his eyes were glassy, not with anger, but with heartbreak. I thought we were trying, he said. I thought this, he gestured between us, still meant something. I stepped closer, desperate to make him understand. It does, I whispered. You have no idea how much. I reached for his arm, but he didn't move. Then why him? The question tore something open inside me. I didn't even have an answer. Maybe it wasn't about the other man at all, maybe it was about everything we'd lost between us, all the times we forgot how to see each other. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then, suddenly, he laughed, soft, bitter, broken. You know what's funny, he said. I was going to tell you something tonight. Something I should have said weeks ago. I frowned, confused. What? He looked at me, really looked, with that same intensity that had always undone me. I'm leaving, he said. I got a transfer. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go, until now. My breath caught. The world tilted. The pool lights flickered again, reflecting in his eyes like tiny shards of blue glass. And in that moment, the one where everything should have fallen apart, all I wanted was to stop him, to pull him close, to tell him the truth. But before I could move, he turned toward the house. And then, the phone rang again. The second call ended without either of us answering. The pool light buzzed faintly, its reflection trembling as if even the water could sense the storm between us. He stood by the sliding glass door, shoulders tight, hand gripping the frame as if it were the only thing holding him back from walking away completely. I could still hear the echo of his words, I'm leaving. Something inside me broke. You can't just walk away, I said, my voice sharp but shaking. He didn't turn. I already did, he replied quietly. You just didn't notice. The truth in his tone hurt more than any accusation could. I stepped forward, barefoot on the cool tiles, the faint splash of water following each step. You think I wanted this? I said. You think I don't wake up every morning wondering where we went wrong? He finally turned then, his eyes meeting mine, tired, red, full of 1,000 unspoken emotions. Then why didn't you fight for us? He asked. His voice cracked. Why didn't you say something before it got this far? Tears burned behind my eyes. Because every time I tried, I said, you were already gone. Not here, not really. You stopped seeing me. He took a step forward. And you found someone else to look at you? That's not fair, I whispered. He was just a memory. You're my reality. The words hung in the air, fragile and desperate. His face softened, just for a second. I could see the man I loved in his expression, the one who used to make me coffee every morning, who held me close even when words failed. He exhaled slowly, the tension in his shoulders easing. Then prove it, he said. Not with words, with choice. I stared at him, my heart pounding. What choice? He gestured toward the house, then to the phone lying by the pool. You can go inside and answer him, or you can stay. The silence was deafening. The sound of the wind rustled through the trees, the pool light flickered, and for a long moment, I couldn't move. Then, slowly, deliberately, I walked toward the phone. I looked down at it, glowing faintly against the wet tile. My reflection stared back at me from the dark screen. And then, I pressed the power button and turned it off. When I looked up, he was still there, watching me. His expression shifted, relief, disbelief, maybe even hope. I took a step toward him. I'm staying, I whispered. If you still want me. He hesitated, then opened his arms just slightly. I never stopped. The sound of thunder rolled softly in the distance as I crossed the space between us. The first raindrop hit the water, sending ripples through the reflection of the two of us, standing together again, but not untouched by what we'd survived. The rain had stopped, leaving the air fresh and warm, the scent of wet earth mixing with chlorine from the pool. The house lights glowed softly behind us, and for the first time in a long time, the silence didn't feel heavy, it felt healing. He stood a few feet away, his shirt damp, hair falling messily across his forehead. His eyes met mine, still holding traces of pain, but now softened by something deeper, forgiveness. I took a small step closer. The puddles reflected our feet as I whispered, I turned it off because I'm done running from what matters. He exhaled, a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sigh, and took a step toward me. And what matters? He asked. You, I said simply. The word trembled out, but it was the truest thing I'd said in months. The distance vanished as he closed the space between us. His hand reached for mine, tentative at first, then sure. Our fingers intertwined, water and warmth mixing, the weight of the past melting away in the quiet night. I'm sorry, he said. For not seeing you, for letting us drift. I'm sorry, too, I replied. For forgetting how to reach for you when things got hard. He brushed his thumb against my cheek, wiping away a tear that wasn't entirely sad. Maybe this time, he said softly, we start over. Not as the people we used to be, but as the ones still standing here, trying. The pool lights shimmered behind us, casting ripples of gold and blue across our faces. The air buzzed with soft electricity, not from tension anymore, but from connection. He leaned in, resting his forehead gently against mine, the world around us fading until all that remained was the warmth between our breaths. I don't need perfect, I murmured. I just need real. He smiled, small but certain. Then real is what you'll have. The first streak of dawn began to stretch across the horizon, turning the wet tiles silver. The reflection of the rising sun danced on the pool's surface, wrapping us in soft light. We didn't speak again, we didn't need to. His arms tightened around me, steady and familiar, and I knew this wasn't an ending. It was the moment where everything finally began again. Fade to black, with the echo of two heartbeats sinking once more.